So we are with Mike Ferguson, Democratic candidate for county executive. Thanks so much for sitting down with us tonight after
Thank
your
you.
debate. A lot said tonight. Just in the last week, you've been from one debate to another here in Dunkirk. What are your thoughts on the week and as we start to wind down the election, so to speak? I mean, you're not even really winding down, more like winding up.
It is. We're, to use a sports analogy, we're in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left on the clock, and it's difficult to determine who's ahead. So you're going to hear, unfortunately, it gets to this point in the campaign where you try to differentiate yourselves. Everybody is really working very, very hard to do what's best for the community. And while there have been some tremendous things that have happened over the course of the years, we're seeing other communities develop much faster. And I believe that we just aren't being as proactive as we need to be. A perfect example is the discussion here in Dunkirk where we're speaking about NRG and what's going to happen if we don't get those tax dollars back. And instead of worrying about that, we know we need to address it. Let's go out and generate more revenue streams. Let's go out and generate more sales tax and less property tax. The more people, it's a simple fix. It really is. The more people we have come back to Chautauqua County or choose Chautauqua County as a home, the more young people we can provide opportunities for here in Chautauqua County so they can raise their families. It solves everyone's problems. Sales tax can go back down to a competitive rate, and property tax will be lowered so we can raise the value of our homes once again and make them sellable and sellable. When you're looking at over 100 homes on Chautauqua Lake up for sale, it's an issue that needs to be addressed, especially when there's 24 to 26% of our tax base that's on the line. This is not being a naysayer or a doom and gloom person. This is, as I've said before, looking at the warts on the frog. Frogs are nice, but we have to address our shortcomings before we can move forward. And as we move forward, we can't just sit here and look at the negative. We have to look at the positive. The bottom line is, as we're here in northern Chautauqua County, we're sitting on NRG. 3.5 years ago, we were told those jobs were coming back. In 3.5 years now to a day, we sit here with nothing on that part of the island. We talk about Athenix, and yes, Athenix is starting to move forward. But the bottom line is this is almost a 3-year-old project once again. And truly, while well waters and others have been tested, we still don't have a shovel in the ground. And when you look at Great Lakes Cold Storage, which came here over 2 years ago, with the idea that they would partner directly with Field Brook Farms as one of their biggest vendors, while the gentleman may now benefit slightly from brownfield credits, why wasn't that the first site developed? Why isn't this site developed? We're not talking about building spec buildings. We're talking about having true shovel-ready sites so that we can market Chautauqua County in a competitive nature in a highly competitive environment. I believe that we didn't even take a shot at the Amazon distribution center that was built in Lancaster, nor the Amazon World Headquarters, since Buffalo is now partnered with Rochester. Wouldn't we have had a good opportunity if we partnered with Rochester and Buffalo, considering that the 90, the 20, and the 5 go through all 3 cities? Let's play to our strengths. Let's work with our partners. Let's collaborate. And let's make things even better than they already are. That's what you hire us for.
I suppose one could say, we should have done this, we could have done that, but really at the end of the day, if you're going to be real about it, all you can do is move forward on something.
Right.
So as a candidate, you and Legislator Borrello
Yes.
have some similar things. Like tonight, I noted, for example, the drug issue. You both are, pretty straight along the same path, and that makes sense to a lot of people. But where is the difference? That's something that almost seems hard to pick out.
I don't think we put ourselves in the game all the time. We talk about leadership. We talk about results. Let's take a look at the Hanover-Silver Creek area, where my opponent is the county legislator. When you're a county legislator for a specific area, that's the area you represent. Yes, county legislators and county government also have to look out for the betterment of the entire county. but over 6,100 jobs were lost back in 2008, and we're bragging that 2,000 have been returned. Instead of bragging about how many have been returned, why aren't we looking at 10,000 jobs coming back? We've never replaced Petrie Foods in Silver Creek. We've never replaced ConAgra. And to say we've lost over 6,000 jobs, but we replaced 2,800, to me that timetable isn't fast enough. We reached out, and I go back to the World Junior Hockey Champions, I go back to the arena, I go back to baseball. We reached out when we saw an opportunity, and we made it happen. We didn't take a chance and fail, we made it happen. To get into the Hall of Fame in baseball, you have to hit the ball. But you also strike out more than you hit. The strikeouts are acceptable as long as you tell the people who are paying your payroll how it's being done. I think there hasn't been enough transparency, and Mr. Borrello has also said this. There hasn't been enough transparency in our local government. We deserve a right. No matter how you look at the dollars being used in government, they're all taxpayers' dollars. Whether they come from the state or the federal government, these are taxpayers' dollars. Whether they were invested or not, it all starts as taxpayers' dollars. I understand the competitive nature of negotiation, and sometimes you can't always talk about a negotiation that may be going on. You may be alerting that person's competitors as to what's happening. We're not at that stage with the 3 projects I've talked about. There are no competitors. There are no threats. There's a lack of jobs. And we can't call something a success until somebody gets a paycheck. So I guess the ability to go and shake the tree a little bit more. I think we sit back, as we did when we talk about Dunkirk. We're waiting. We're cutting back on our budgets. We're cutting back on things because we're losing people. We're losing people at the rate of about 1,100 to 1,200 people per year. And they say, well, that's only 1% of our total population. Add that up over the last 10 years. That's a lot of people. We also have to create new jobs, but those jobs have to become a reality. Do I believe that we will see a Phoenix here? Do I believe we'll see NRG? Do I believe that we'll see the Great Lakes Cold Storage? Yes. But as the gentleman who brought Great Lakes Cold Storage here said, Chautauqua County is not ready for business. There are many, many more opportunities available for us. We have to be ready to compete in the 21st century, not just 2017, but 2020, 25, and beyond. And my belief is right now, when we have GIS maps that have not been updated since 1968, 1975, we're not ready for competitive business. And that's an important piece of working together with a Democratic governor and 2 Democratic mayors.
And a lot of current people in county government seem to say that you follow the tree all the way up or follow the system all the way through. The problems come and stem from New York State and from Governor Cuomo. Now, granted, we've seen that with the National Comedy Center and even with the Phoenix project here, that a lot of the funding has come from the state. Do problems stem from Albany?
Oh, problems can always be pointed at Albany, but I think it's being unfair to say that Chautauqua County has not benefited from that relationship at this point. Millions of dollars that were not shared with us in the past are now at our disposal. And it's because we have a plan. That's the key. You can't sit back and be reactive and expect, well, how come Albany's not helping us? Or how come this group isn't helping us? The reason why you're seeing the Comedy Center and others getting funding is because local entrepreneurs, Tom Benson, Journey Gunderson, who's the executive director, are aggressive. They had a plan. They not only had plan A, they had plan B and plan C and plan D. That's something that you can get behind and you can fund. When we had a plan for the dredging of not only Sunset Bay but Erie, and we had a plan, you were able to go to the state and get help. That's what that's what they are there for. That's what we, hopefully as elected officials, are here for. If you sit back and cry, the problems are all with Albany. Well, when you haven't properly zoned, I mean, it took a great amount of time to get areas properly zoned for development, much less developed. We have to cut the red tape at Chautauqua County level first before we can point the fingers at Albany. When you sit down and say, Albany hasn't helped, Albany's been a great friend to Chautauqua County in at least the last 2 to 4 years. They have been reactive to our issues. They've helped us in many ways, and I believe they'll help us again. We have to solve our own problems, and we have to take responsibility for those problems.
One kind of mandate, I guess, in a way, from the governor's office was the downsizing of government, which Chautauqua County has worked to do. And tonight, a point was brought up by one of the folks here who kind of spoke. They asked about a deputy executive that you may be bringing on with you. I guess my question is, since Chautauqua County has been going to downsize most of the government, and there is no deputy executive at this point. I know there's assistants and things like that.
Assistants, yes.
But no deputy executive. Why bring someone on like that?
Well, we haven't claimed that we were. I'm not quite sure where that came from. The person I referred to me speaking, his job title was wrong. It's the assistant to our current county executive. And that's where the misconception comes from.
Right.
You're not looking to bring new people on. You're looking to build a cabinet. You're looking to build your staff. There are good people that you may choose to keep, and there are people that you may choose to exchange or eliminate those positions altogether. So we're not looking for big government. I know that seems to be the riff with the Democratic Party is we're all about fat government. No, I would rather see more frontline individuals. The frontline individuals, the people who run the DMVs, who are working at that front window of the DMVs, who are there in the records departments and these types of things. These are the people that are meeting and serving our public day to day, every day. In that area, that's where we need more employees. We don't need more government officials at the top. So that's where Mr. Burrell and I do agree that you need to work thin and you need to work fast with regards to the top areas, because your service areas, your customer service base, and when we say essential service, your police, your fire, your EMTs, those are essential to the safety of your community. I worry about words like consolidation. Sometimes it costs jobs, sometimes it costs identity, but more importantly, it can cost lives. I understand some consolidation of fire departments or police departments that are within a mile or 2 or 3 miles of one another. But as my opponent says, we only have 135,000 constituents in this area. Our footprint is the size of Rhode Island, which means we're very rural. Our 2 cities, our communities, anywhere from Ripley to Falconer, it's extremely, extremely rural. To cut any type of essential services puts our constituents in danger, and I am not for that. So I think that when you look at cutting, you really have to sit down and weigh the pros and cons, effectiveness. I don't know about you, but I know I've been in a position before where I felt, gee, I might be more effective if I was working that job over there or this job over here. Some people's skill sets might be better used in other areas. It doesn't always have to result in job loss. But I think the bigger issue is, while we talk about the fact that we lowered property taxes, it should be easy to do when we're losing jobs and we're losing people. And we can brag about all the jobs that are coming, but if they don't come, we have to adjust. The more important thing is, how are we proactively and positively going to make that change from talking about the things that aren't happening to the things that are happening. And when you have sick lakes, when you have failing infrastructures, as we saw here in the North County, not only in Fredonia, but we blew 7 water lines in the North County just 2 weeks ago. You can multiply that by an entire county. We have a big job to do. We have to proactively and positively go after those changes.
Final question for you.
Yes, sir.
You've been all over Chautauqua County during this race.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a divide between North and South?
I think it's an imaginary divide. I do know that, yes, I would say there is. Some of it comes naturally. Having lived in Fredonia for over 30 years, and having worked in Jamestown and Bemis and Fredonia, you can sit back and see that just through the weather patterns. when you get to that Cassadaga line, it could be 70 degrees on one part of the county and 45 in the other. I think that's helped us develop this north-south mentality. You've heard me speak before. I despise the North County, South County mentality. Only because growing up in Erie County, New York, there was no Northern Erie County, Southern Erie County, East or West. It was Erie County. I don't think we make our decisions as a government based on whether it's north or south. Although, up until just a couple of months ago, if you went to the county IDA site and you were looking for videos, the city of Dunkirk wasn't even included. Is it a mistake? Yes, it's a mistake. Is it easily correctable? Yes. But it goes back to the fact that it is 2017, and in some areas, important areas, we're not ready. And in some areas, we've unintentionally disrespected some of our constituents. Those are things that the devil's in the details.